Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Saturday's ginormous edition of the dceu Daily, which we will be talking about the heartbreaking, shocking cancellation of Krypton, the Birds of Prey reshoots, and news you won't want to hear about the Snyder Cut. It's not news, it's what I feel and what I think. And it upsets me as much as it upsets you. So before you unsubscribe because of what I'm going to say, please think very carefully. So last night, European time, around 10 p.m, I started to see cast members of Krypton on Twitter talking about how much Krypton's meant to them, and basically big monologues, goodbye tweets. Wallace Day, Cameron Cuff, the star of the show, who's carried this show on his shoulders, producers. I was angry, still angry, and as soon as I heard the news, I started hashtagging Save Krypton, and I'm probably one of the first people to do it. We're all doing it now. Krypton. Listen, if Lucifer got saved, Krypton's got to be saved. It's just simply quite as simple as that. There can be no in between here. Krypton should not be cancelled. Simple as that. This is disgusting. Listen, I knew that Krypton's viewership wasn't that high, but I thought it would be enough to keep it going. But Krypton's been amazing. We had Brainiac, we've had Doomsday, we've had everything a Superman TV show should have, apart from Superman. And I think this is the real problem. And this is really a message to WB and DC TV. Give us a Superman TV show. I believe if we had a Superman TV show alongside a Krypton TV show and all the other DC shows, this wouldn't be a problem. In fact, most of the DC shows don't have a higher viewership. Even the Arrowverse shows, which I think have been absolutely terrible, mundane, and tickling shippers under the chin since season 3 of all of their shows, basically. I don't like Arrowverse. It's despicable to me that Arrowverse survives, while Krypton, a superior show to all of the Arrowverse shows, gets cancelled. In fact, I posted that on Twitter, and it's getting a lot of retweets, but also it's getting a lot of hate, understandably, by the Arrowverse fans. But I don't understand how we can live in a universe where Krypton is cancelled after 2 seasons. We had Lobo. We were going to have a Lobo TV show. Now we're not even getting that. What's going on? The only thing I can think that maybe DC Universe will take on Krypton and Lobo. I hope so. But with the actors and producers basically saying goodbye. Listen, as I quote tweeted one of the producers, and I said, listen, I understand, you all need to move on and, find other work. You need to pay the bills. You need to eat. I get that. But us as fans are so angry and so frustrated. And we're gonna try and utilise that anger and frustration to save the show, like we saved Lucifer. What a shame that we saved Lucifer only to be stabbed in the back with the tone of the show and what they tried to do with it, Netflix. And next season is the final season. I suppose at least we get a final season, but it's not really the Lucifer that I enjoyed in the first season. To be honest with you, it's an SJW Lucifer, which is a shame, but that's life. But I don't regret attempting to save the show. But with Krypton, it really, really is special. Ideally, if we could save Krypton, I would absolutely want it on DC Universe, a platform where Warner Brothers and these creatives, who have been so fantastic with the fans, so responsive with the fans, and they deserve much better than what they get. So, absolutely, Krypton shouldn't be cancelled. Krypton is a fantastic show, and I'm sure, the DC fan base are going to do everything to try and save it. Now, moving on to these controversial Birds of Prey reshoots. I am not worried about these reshoots. Reshoots are part of filmmaking. But if I was Kathy Yan, I would feel rather inadequate right now. Because the John Wick 3 director is handling the reshoots of the action sequences. This means either 2 things. That she attempted to do action sequences that the studio didn't like, maybe Margot Robbie didn't like, I don't know. So they've actually had to go out. they've actually had to go out and bring this director in. It's kind of embarrassing for her. Nobody else, for her. Because as a director, you like to think you're an all-round, artist who can put all these elements together. And for me, if I was directing something and I needed someone to come in and do my action scenes, I feel inadequate and very embarrassed. But this isn't DC's fault. This isn't Warner Brothers' fault. This is Margot Robbie's fault. This is Margot Robbie's production company's fault. Warner Brothers have allowed them total freedom on this movie. Total freedom, because that's what Margot demanded. To carry on as Harley Quinn, she demanded her own production company, all females or mostly females, and they would be totally in control of this movie. Otherwise, she wouldn't return for Suicide Squad and she wouldn't carry on with Warner Brothers. This was the agreement, right? And this is what goes wrong when you allow someone who's very inexperienced in making films. She may be a great actress and got good experience in acting and performing and know how to do that. But what kind of experience has she got at actually making a movie? So she brings Cathy Yan in. Now, don't get me wrong, Cathy Yan is a very, very talented director. But, Margot saw the script. She knew Christina Hodgson's script had a lot of action in it. So surely there's a female director out there, because that's the direction she wanted to go in, that has the all-round package and can do great action, great storytelling, make it funny and off the wall, like this film basically is, if you believe people who have seen the test screenings. That's one test screening I haven't seen, and at this point I don't want to see one because I just want to be surprised with this film. I'm very intrigued by it, but the people who have seen it said, look, Mick, I'm not going to tell you anything about the film, but it really, really is good. So my opinion is this is not a disaster. This is not embarrassing for DC and Warner Brothers, but I think Margot Robbie and her production company do need to look at themselves and say, maybe we should have found a female director who could do everything. And that's all I've got to say about that. Now, the Snyder Cut, as you know, massive fan of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. My first experience of seeing the Justice League theatrical cut after being so pumped by the trailers and the hype for it. I thought we were going to get something like the best CBM ever, the most gripping, compelling thing ever. And the Snyder Cut would have been that. Now, we've been fighting for Zack Snyder's version, right, for quite a long time now. Now, for the past few weeks, and I did a video about not trusting Mark Hughes. I still believe Mark Hughes can't be trusted, but this pundit was doing a podcast with some people the other day. Actually, it's his own podcast, and he was saying that he believes definitely the Snyder Cut will be released in HBO Max. Yippee! We've won! We've done it! Let's celebrate! We can have sex, we can smoke drugs. It's over! We invite Deb and Zach round, we can have a dance, we can have a laugh. Unfortunately, this is no time to celebrate. Why? Because he's not talking about the Snyder Cut. I believe Warner Brothers want to course correct the theatrical cut. I believe there is a version of the theatrical cut. Or they want to work on a version where they get rid of the bad upper lip CG. They want to get rid of things that people weren't happy about. And then that is the film that they want to re-release onto HBO Max. It's a director's cut. It's Joss Whedon's director's cut of Justice League. And I believe there's one there for them to put on there. That's what I think's going on. I don't believe it's the Snyder Cut. Do not believe Mark Hughes. He's pulling the wool over your eyes, right? And we know that he's befriended Jay. We know we know he's working with Jay now and all of that. But at the end of the day, I wonder how uncomfortable it's going to be when in a few months' time, or maybe next year, HBO Max announce that they're putting a director's cut of Joss Whedon's Justice League on HBO Max. Now, I don't know this for a fact. This is my theory. So when you keep on hearing it's coming, look, if I'm wrong and Mark Hughes is right, I'll apologise, right? Because this is beyond my agenda against him because he blocked me for absolutely no reason. This is beyond me thinking that he's an enemy of the DCEU and DC fans, which I genuinely believe, and I hope you trust my word on that. I believe he's not talking about the Snyder Cut. Let me repeat myself. I believe HBO Max and Joss Whedon are working on a director's cut of the theatrical cut. They want to correct what was wrong with that movie. Not kind of in beat and tone, but in terms of the bad things, the bad backgrounds on the Kent farm, and some of the things that were cheaply done because they were rushing to reshoot it and marvelise the film. I believe they want to course correct the bad CG, as I said, the bad background, the hideous grin by Batman when Superman turns up, and obviously Flash laying on top of Wonder Woman wasn't great. It was kind of funny, but I just think it upsets too many people, and in a way is disrespectful to Gal as well. So I just think, so I would definitely hold your horses. As I say, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I believe Mark Hughes isn't talking about the Snyder Cut being on HBO Max. Whatever he says, he may be mistaken. He may think the information he's got. But in fact, I believe Warner Brothers will release a director's cut of Joss Whedon's Justice League on HBO Max and not the Snyder Cut that Mark Hughes claims is 90% done. I do not believe that's the case. Again, if I'm wrong, I will come in here and apologise to each and every one of you. Now, if you think that makes me happy telling you this, that this is my theory, this is what I think, and mostly when I sniff something, it normally comes true. We've got to step out of our bubble sometimes and not attack people who may be talking common sense. I just know for a fact that Mark Hughes, up until he started working with Jay, wasn't a big fan of the DCEU, wasn't very respectful of our fans, right, as you can see from blocking a person like me who constructively talks, constructively criticises, doesn't swear, doesn't threaten people, as you know. I mean, I'm sure I get some hateful stuff in the comments. I don't notice very much, but I'm sure I have before, and I've walked away from it. I'm not a controversial kind of guy. I'm a fun-loving, peaceful guy. And I know if and when this happens and they do put a theatrical cut, a director's cut of the theatrical cut of Justice League on HBO Max, you know, the Snyder fans are going to go insane. It's going to be crazy. But I don't believe this studio wants anything more to do with Zack Snyder in terms of the DCEU. Now, it is interesting when people talk about Ben Affleck not being happy, not getting on with Warner Brothers, and that's why he quit. No. Because Ben Affleck has still got a great relationship with Warner Brothers. He's about to be in another Warner Brothers movie. He's a Warner Brothers man, and he will remain a Warner Brothers man. But Warner Brothers, Walter Hamada decided that Batman should go in another direction. And they agreed to part ways. This happens in life, right? This happens in life. But by the way, I'm still convinced that Ben Affleck will actually cameo in the Batman. I think he has a role to play in this film. So don't count your chickens that this film has nothing to do with kind of Ben Affleck's Batman. I actually think this is a younger version of Ben Affleck's Batman. And it's all very interesting. But yes, that's what I think about the Snyder Cut. And I do have hope for Ben Affleck being in the Batman 2. Right. Be constructive in the comments down below. Don't blame me. I'm just giving you my opinion. And please hashtag Save Krypton.